Welcome to Crucible Radio. This week we're going to pour one out for Shot Package, discuss the new meta, and decide whether or not these Sunbreakers are really OP. Later we've got Titan Bro Leon Young on the show to give us the details on... Wait, Birds, did you bleep that out? Come on, man.
It's a bleep machine. Sorry, it went off. I'm just getting it warmed up.
Since when do you bleep out curse words, Birds? You're like a sailor.
Look, it's just funny. It just sounds funny. Here. Let me show you. All right, Bones, say something.
No, dude, you're just... Because someone called you out from in one last week. It's no one cares. It's no big... Stop. All right, cut it out. Would you...
Someone called him out? Like, entire comment section was... You missed one.
Swain, don't egg him on. He's getting out... Okay, that last one, I literally wasn't even talking. Hey, Birds, how's it going?
Man, it feels like it's finally clicked, you know? I'm doing pretty good. Swain, how are you doing?
Doing all right. How you doing, Bones?
I am doing greater than I've ever been.
What an interesting past 7 days we've experienced together.
It has been a killer week for Destiny. It has been a killer week for...
Don't undersell it.
It's been huge. It's been a killer week for Crucible Radio, the podcast you're listening to right now.
It's a show about all things Destiny, PvP, getting into Crucible, shooting each other, real humans at the other end. They feel sad. It's great. It's the best.
Yeah, you make them upset.
That's what we're all about.
It's been a killer week for shotguns in a more literal sense.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Ouch.
Rough.
It's episode 17, and I couldn't ask for a better podcast from you guys.
I couldn't ask for anything better from me either, because I love myself.
We're very, very proud of ourselves. We're slapping ourselves on the back. Okay, why are we so self-sure? Why are we so happy? Well, we had an episode last week with John Wisniewski, and he spilled all kinds of Destiny secrets. And
The Noosk.
Oh, I can't believe we didn't think to call him that.
You're welcome for the sleeper simulant, guys.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody was the first to crack that case.
Oh, yeah, that was me.
No big deal or nothing. Yeah, it was our local Bones.
I wasn't first, but I did stay up till 4 a.m. and solved most of that, on my own. And I hit the internet at the same time, seeing what everyone else was doing. But there was a few steps where I'm just like, no one's figured this out. And I just worked my way through it. And it was so fun. But we'll talk about that in PvE episode, right?
Sure. Thanks.
We're going to have to, because I just totally did not pay attention to any of that stuff. So not prepared. Anyways, so Swain, you leaked a little exciting news at the end of the last episode. Come November 2nd.
We're going to Bungie, guys. We are going to... I'm going to fly a long way out to Seattle.
Bones and I are going to have a very lovely, very relaxing 2-hour quick jaunt on an airplane. Not a big deal at all.
Yep.
I'll get to meet you guys for the first time, and I will get to go to Bungie. I am beyond excited.
That's the craziest thing, is that we started this podcast through the Crucible playbook 3 months ago now, a little bit more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are actually bringing some cool stuff to the community, and we love providing some tips, some advice, and just a place to discuss the things that everyone's talking about, and then give some voices to some of the people at Bungie who don't show up in the weekly updates all the time, like John Wisniewski. And that's just incredible, and I love the reception to that episode and the amazing details that he was actually able to share with us. And it really just opened the doors for a lot of people to understand what goes into the game, and then think about their loadout that much more clearly, and understand what perks they're choosing and what guns they're choosing. So that was an awesome episode.
A lot of salty folks on the internet who think oh man, Bungie sure does hate us. They sure do they hate us.
They never listen to me.
They never listen. They Thorns still exists. Shotguns. And what you find out when you actually get to meet these people is it's no, they care so much about this. And I'm so thrilled for any opportunity we get to take more of those people who are maybe not as visible. And give them a chance to tell us what they do, and tell us how they make this game so wonderful. Quite a week. But we play the game too. We're not just podcasters. We're complete Destiny addicts, and we play a lot. Swain,
yep.
What have you been up to this week?
Man, Sleeper Simulant quest, my exotic sword, got the Raise Lighter yesterday when Arms Day showed around. That Dark Blade part of the quest is pretty tough, but I'll let you figure it out for yourself. That's PvE. But I've been getting into the Crucible. Been doing the the weekly bounties, obviously, every week. It's nice to have that, weekly thing to do in the Crucible. I don't always feel like I'm gonna jump into the Crucible all the time and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm working at something, because I don't always do the bounties that like the regular robot gives out. But it's nice to have something that I'm working toward through the week. It mixes it up, makes sure you're doing different things, different days. Started streaming a little bit this week as well.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. What about you, Birds? What have you been up to?
Man, I feel like this is the week everything finally kind of clicked. I said it up top, and I really believe it. Like, for the longest time, I did not have a single legendary primary drop except for a scout rifle, Treads Upon Stars. Good scout rifle. I like it, but kind of more of a PvE role on it. And shoot, what happened? I bought a Hawk Moon, bought the Year 2 Hawk Moon. I was like, all right, I got something I can work with now. On Bones' recommendation, I bought the Vanguard Scout Rifle, not like the others, and this thing melts, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's
definitely,
especially with that reflex sight. I see what you're talking about. People just can't deal with the flinch, the explosive rounds. It hits just right. Very satisfying, and that opened the floodgates. I started getting all these drops, man. I got, what did I get? I got a Hawk Saw with a great roll on, actually very similar to the Crucible Vanguard roll. Just last night, I had an Eos Luna drop that's got rangefinder and small bore on it. Crazy range, crazy stability. Got the Sure Shot sight on it.
There's a lot of good guns that are for sale. I have my eyes on the Apple Discord that's for sale with the Vanguard Quartermaster.
There's so much to do in terms of the quest and in terms of PvE, but I've really just gotten into a groove of doing the dailies. Just doing the dailies, doing the weeklies, getting my marks built up, because there's so much stuff I want to buy. There's so many good choices. And I feel like I've sort of got something for every PvP load I might want to do. I've been loving the Chaperone. We could talk about that some other time, but that is a cool gun, and I'm into it. So yeah, I'm finally getting my primary game set. I'm very happy. Bones, what about you?
I have been doing very much the same as you guys. I've been slowly acquiring more weapons. Well, I've been acquiring a ton through Arms Day, which I love, but I just don't have the materials to use everything. And I like to test out a gun once I've, applied all the perks to it. I don't want to get a feel for it without Snapshot if that's the last thing to unlock. So I'm really picky about that. But as Bird said, I've been using that not like the others, which is my favorite gun. I have a great roll on it with Outlaw and the MD Reflex Scope, which I swear by.
Do you think that you like that more than any of the new exotic scout rifles?
I actually haven't gotten the Jade Rabbit yet, which I really want. And I've played with Boolean and Talalak, and I like Talalak. It definitely does work when you do have your super, but I've been enjoying Stormcaller so much that I want to use it. I think when Trials rolls around and I might roll Sunsinger a little bit more, it's going to really come into play more often. And so that is what I'm looking forward to, and when I'll really truly see if that exotic ability gives me a step above others. But
for sure,
yeah, I've been rolling with this legendary. I mean, it's just good. But this Crucible quest makes me play with some other primaries, and I did complete it with Bad Juju and my Year 1 Hawk Moon. I had Year 2, but hadn't unlocked the perks, obviously, and feeling it. Hawk Moon is good. It's a little wobbly, a little kind of sporadic. It's not as tight as it used to be, but it definitely kicks hard, and it hits hard. But otherwise, I've been perfecting is strong, but I've been trying to master the sword in PvP, and I still have my legendary, but that thing is so much fun, and actually blocking snipes and shotgun blasts and then cutting them down is just awesome. So I've been working with that. I don't have a rocket launcher for Trials. I have no problems with that. I am going into Trials and Iron Banner with a sword. I'm ready.
Nice. You also cheated on us on another podcast.
I did, yeah. I went over and talked to Cyborg and Arrow over at Destiny Reset, and you guys should check that show out. They are super laid back and super positive dudes. They're not just fanboys. They respect the game and they understand its criticisms and its flaws, and they're not afraid to discuss those, but they also don't get salty, and they don't just they don't complain without providing solutions or at least ways to deal with the game we have, which is our philosophy. So definitely go check that out if you want to hear me rant about the Crucible and attitudes about the Crucible. That's what we focus on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a great job. I like to listen to it, and it's nice to hear you. You kind of keep it professional on the show. Nice to hear you cut loose a little bit. Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, I got feelings, guys.
Yeah, feelings for days. Well, we record this on Thursday nights, a little inside podcast there. And the reason we do that is so we can see what comes along in the weekly update. And this was quite a weekly update. I'm sure you guys read it. And the first thing you saw blew your socks off was the shout out to Crucible Radio.
The first thing anyone ever read.
You scrolled down a little bit, saw that first, and then scrolled back up.
Yeah, you closed it. You just said game over. But then you were curious. You went and you read the rest of it. And we saw there's been a little change to shotguns.
So shot package is gone.
It's gone.
It's just gone.
Pour one out.
Pour one out.
They replace it, and I guess you're just getting a random choice. What was it? It was crowd control,
knee
pads, or up close and personal. Knee pads is the one you want, but still good. People have been complaining about shotguns since day. It's fair to say day one. I wasn't here at day one. For as long as I've been in the game, people have been upset about shotguns.
Day one for birds.
Yep, since the beginning of the Birds and Destiny universe. It's no fun getting one hit killed by anything, but when it's a shotgun and it's at distance and it's the shot package that got him there, it's gone now. Going to be a little bit closer, but what do you guys think about this?
Well, we did have a couple of questions over on the Twitterverse. Kind of relating to this, our favorite one by Yama Dalama asks, how are shotguns going to be used now? That shot package is no longer a perk.
It's an interesting question, and I think I can answer that, but I would maybe not in the way you expect, but I feel like shotguns are going to work the way they work. I think it's going to continue to be a weapon that fast, aggressive players can succeed with. I think what's really going to change with the meta is the way people are able to respond to shotguns. I think maybe a couple of other special weapon types might move up, but I think it's just the fact that, you have to get a little bit closer, which sort of evens the playing field for someone with a primary out or, any other type of gun. And I think that's key there. It boils down to shotguns are about the approach, and you got to work on your approach. You can't just sprint in full visibility with your shotgun out. So people are going to have to adjust their approach, but people are still going to push hard with those things.
Well, our good friend Noosk, we call him Noosk.
We call him Noosk now.
We go way back. Yeah. What's up, Noosk?
Well, he's talked about it in the last episode about contracts and how that shotguns and sniper rifles, they have a certain contract. If you stick it in someone's belly, it's going to kill them. And that's still going to be there. He even says it in the update that this game, you're able to close distances really quickly. So it seems like he's trying to prevent some of this shitstorm that's going to be happening. People are probably still going to complain about it, but he's explaining this game is quick. You're going to get there. Someone's going to close the distance on you and kill you right away because of that contract.
Yeah, I feel like the change to shotguns, honestly, it's going to have more effect on the person on the receiving end of a shotgun approach or a shotgun attack than it is on the person using it. Because, look, you're still going to die to shotguns all the time if you go into close quarters and you're not prepared for a shotgun attack. There's plenty of tight corners. There's plenty of little rooms. And if you go in there and you're not expecting and preparing for a shotgun, you are in danger, and that does not require shot package. I think it's probably a little more reasonable to say that if you're not in that situation, then you don't have to be entirely on guard all the time for a shotgun jumping in from a ways away and managing to get a kill off of you. But look, I still love a shotgun, and I suppose with the chaperone, I never really had to worry about that bullet or that pellet spread in the first place. I hope shotguns stay strong, and I think as long as people are getting killed by them, they're going to get salty. But we'll see what the long-term effect of this is.
I think a pretty important thing to remember too, and this is something that John brought up last week. If you have not listened to that episode, please do. You will be blown away and feel very informed. But another thing Bungie is trying to do is to continuously improve and balance and change the game on a frequent basis now. You know, there's this whole sense and there's this idea that when something is strong or overpowered or broken, that it's going to remain like that for a long time. That's just not the case anymore. So they said it in the weekly update. Yes, shot package is gone because it was very much an outlier, and it was throwing off the whole system and it just wasn't working. So yes, that's gone. But shotguns are still going to get worked on. They're still going to really dial in the perfect sweet spot for the range. And if you suddenly don't have a 4.0 KD next week when the shotguns no longer have the shot package, it's still okay. We're going to keep working with it. We're going to keep learning and keep improving the game as we go.
A very good example of that is there's been a hot fix every week since the Taken King has come out. And
that's right.
They're already putting out the first update. Like, this is 2.0.1.
Yeah.
And we're a month in. We're only a month in.
That's fantastic.
So shot package is off the table, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys the new shotgun meta. Figured it out. Only reason I know what it is because of all the streamers who did the work on the original God Roll, working with some of the Crucible scientists like Suinok, who are figuring out exactly all the range modifiers and the damage per pellet and the precise fall-offs. Here is the new shotgun meta. I'm willing to call it. You don't have shot package anymore. What you want is rangefinder. And rangefinder was kind of the runner-up, kind of the second choice. You know, wasn't quite sure if you were going to settle on it. Now, they work similarly because they're going to give you more range, but a shot package shotgun is going to be more useful at a variety of ranges. It's pulling those pellets in. So as long as you're within range, you're going to be hitting with more pellets. That's going to get you more kills. Rangefinder really doesn't come into play until you start getting to the longer ranges. But if your goal is a shotgun sniper like a Fellwinter's, especially considering that, you know, special ammo is not necessarily super plentiful, you're going to want to try and get as many kills out of those rounds as you can. You're going to want that rangefinder. Of course, you're still going to want a range boosting perk like reinforced barrel or close runner-up rifled barrel. Last perk, up to you. I like knee pads. That slide is pretty great, especially with the nerf to blink. And for the barrels, there's a lot of options, but I don't think you can touch aggressive ballistics. You just get more damage per pellet. You get field choke, you get accurized in there. You're going to get some range, maybe a little bit more damage. Kind of a toss-up, but considering that you don't have that tight spread, you're not going to be hitting with as many pellets anymore. I really have to say that you're going to want a little bit more damage per pellet to make that the ones you do land count that much more. So there it is, guys. I called it. Pray to the RNG gods and hope you get lucky, because no more reforging.
John's just shaking his fist at you.
Hey, this is what we do, man. Get used to it, Noosk.
Or if you want, play Stormcaller and get that enhanced range on your Thunderstrike melee. Get that little damage boost with your shotgun contact and start zapping people, and they'll be just as frustrated as year one with the Fellwinters.
Well,
but that's just me.
Life.
If you get frustrated with your now useless shotgun, we got a couple questions about a couple other types of special weapons. Let's see. Josh Vasquez asks, will fusion rifles see more play in Trials of Osiris since the mega range shotguns won't be there this time around? And Wolfslayer 160 asks, thoughts on sidearms and their place in Trials of Osiris and Crucible. What do you guys think?
You know, that's kind of what I was getting at earlier, is that other guns might rise to the occasion. And I think we already said it. Shotguns are going to be strong, and people are going to keep using them because it's a fast-paced game with close quarters. That's what you want in there. But I think the shorter distance to kill without shot package will let something like a sidearm or a fusion rifle, which takes time to charge up, just have that much more time to get a shot off. And there you go. Now you can start stopping those shotgunners who can sprint and then slide and cross 8 meters in about 0.5 seconds. You have that extra time and that comfort to react. So I think they're going to start showing up and earning their place. But that might not be accurate. Who knows?
I think you really have to think of it in terms of movement skill versus gun skill. Because with the shotgun, I mean, you literally just have to aim at them and pull the trigger once. And if you do that right, they will die. It only takes that one time. Maybe follow up with a melee, but that's pretty automatic. And so it really becomes all about movement skill. It's about getting into that close range where you're able to make a move like that. And then just getting the timing right so you take that one shot nicely. The fusion rifles and the sidearms, I think those are a little less movement focused. They're all gun skill. Fusion rifles, man, I come and I go with them, and sometimes I'm feeling them, sometimes I'm not, but you really have to, it takes a special kind of person to wreck with the fusion rifle. Don't get me wrong, if you're good with the fusion, you can just melt. They are nasty, but you've got that charge time. Even with the fastest charging ones, you really have to be thinking ahead. You've got to be really playing the mind games. Sidearms, a little more forgiving, but you're going to have to land a lot of shots, and it feels like sidearms kind of overlap with some primaries. Mm-hmm. So I think the change is good because I think it lets you say what kind of close to medium range special weapon do I want. Look, a sniper is a sniper is a sniper, but you can sort of think about what your style is and choose something that fits. But I can still say, no question, I'll give him a shot. But when it comes to not using a sniper, it's going to be a shotgun for sure. I like the movement.
Oh, I just went to you guys back to when we interviewed the streamers after the Red Bull event. All of those guys used the Iron Banner sidearm. So I don't know if it's something that, it's going to drop this Iron Banner or a future one, but there might be something to that particular gun because every single one of those guys came away from it saying sidearms are overpowered. And that was just, they didn't get much time with them, but you never know. It could just be that particular gun. So keep an eye. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that once they get it, will talk about it.
Stay tuned.
I think that's it for our questions, guys. But as always, you can hit us up on Twitter, Crucible Radio, or you can ask us specific questions. Famous Birds, Swainstash_CR, and Bones_CR.
Oh, and we talk all week about the Crucible, right? We are just constantly, we love this game, so we talk about it a lot, right?
Even if you want to ask me what sandwich I had for lunch, I'll be happy to let you know.
What the best flavor of Cheez-It is.
White cheddar.
Hot and spicy.
Classic. Can't mess with classic, man.
Hot and spicy. Anyway.
We should probably get to the meat of this episode.
You sure?
I think we should do it. Let's go there.
Is there something big that people have been talking about that we would, really need to discuss? Or
Birds, how many posts have you deleted on the playbook about this?
Yeah, let me do my impression of the entire Destiny internet after the Taken King came out.
All right, go ahead.
Oh my God, Sunbreaker's so OP, it's so broken. Hammer of Saw, so strong, it's not fair. Bungie, you gotta nerf it. It's too strong. When are you gonna nerf it? I'm not gonna play this game till you nerf it.
Is everyone who plays Destiny from the SNL skit The Californians?
Shut up, man. You don't even know. Is that what I'm doing?
It sounds like a cross between that and a goth kid, flipping his hair.
What are you doing here with these Sunbreakers?
That is the voice I hear in my head when I go on the internet and I read what people are upset about. And maybe it has to be something. Used to be Thorn and Last Word. Now it's Hammer of Saul. But look, there's no question that Hammer of Saul is a nasty, nasty super. But I believe that there's something more to it than that. You got to look at the big picture.
For sure.
What are you thinking when you say big picture about Sunbreakers? Because that super is a dominant force when it's active, but what about the rest of the class? And does that kind of validate such a strong super? Because it's gotten some criticism in the rest of the perk tree.
Well, I think we have to go to our resident Titan on this one. Swain, you've spent a lot of time playing all 3 subclasses. What do you think about Sunbreakers?
I really enjoy the Sunbreaker, obviously. But it kind of feels like I'm always just waiting for my super. Just like, all right, look down. I'm like, oh yeah, it's almost ready. The grenades are kind of lackluster. You know, you get the fusion grenade, but like, how many times? It's the same thing with the magnetic grenade. You don't always get the stick, and you don't always get it right. And it's nothing like the lightning grenade. I love the lightning grenade for the striker. That sort of map control, you can turn your back to that. You can like walk away and know that someone's not going to come from that area just because you threw a grenade. There is not a single grenade for the Sunbreaker. The one that puts the flames on the ground. Well, oh no, the flame is on the ground. I can't jump over it. It's nowhere near as effective as the lightning grenade. Sucks there, and then the melee, it's still a Titan melee. Like, you're not going to be, extended ranging like a Stormcaller. There's no real good perks from it. All kind of seems to tie into your super. It all goes towards the Hammer of Soul. Mm-hmm. Like, something recharges it. It really all plays towards the super.
Yeah, but how about that super, though?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It makes it very easy, especially with the mobility of the Titan, to run around the map, get your super off. But even then, I have some trouble every once in a while simply just seeing through it, because it fills your entire screen with flames, especially if you're hitting up close targets. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a first world Sunbreaker problem. But it is a part of it, and that's part of the perks. You got to deal with like the gigantic explosions in your face. But yeah, I love it. I love it all around. I've gotten Slayer medals, Phantom medals, all this, simply just by running around and abusing the mobility of the great Titan Hammer of Soul.
I think it has some obvious strength, and that's for sure, but it does have some weaknesses. I mean, it is possible to stay alive when this thing is coming at you, and I actually wrote a little bit of a guide for PlanetDestiny. If you want to check that out, I'll include a link in these posts. But I had to think about it when I was writing this one. It wasn't such an obvious, well, like, here's how you do this. I, as someone who plays Crucible a lot, I have an obvious answer. I had to stop and go, like, what do I do? Like, what is my go-to move besides just turn and sprint? But one thing I think is really crucial with the Sunbreaker is knowing when to get in the air and stay up there, because that hammer is really hard to hit something when it's in the air. I think that's the biggest thing. The Sunbreaker relies really heavily on splash damage. I mean, that's where it gets its power. And if you can stay away from that and make yourself a harder target to hit, then you have a chance to survive against these things.
So I actually came up with a pretty darn foolproof countering strategy for the Hammer of Soul.
Let's hear it.
Patent pending, so don't be stealing it, although I will grant people licenses to use it. When you hear the hammer pop and you see the Titan has got his eye on you, you run away. And I know, everyone is saying that's the only real counter to it right now. For real, like, you need to change the way that you're thinking about running away. Because, look, in year one, I got really, really comfortable hearing somebody pop a Blade Dancer and just waiting for him to come at me, just thinking like, okay, swipe, I'm going to stand here. And then you do the quick shotgun melee combo and they're down. And I got so good at it. Thinking about gunslingers, thinking about sunsingers. You get that sniper out, you just line up the headshot and you take it. Solved problem. And the reality is, with the way Hammer Soul works right now, the only thing you can do is make them waste it. And when you think about countering it, that's really what we're talking about. Okay, yeah, it's nice if you can kill them while they're doing it, because then they feel bad and you feel great. But for real, running away is an art form. I talked a little bit earlier about like the difference between gun skill and movement skill. And I mean, I'll even wave at a Sunbreaker Titan to try and get their attention, because I'm going to take them across the map. I'm going to take them away from the rest of my team and make them so wanting to just nail me once and just time it. You kind of get a sense of when those hammers are coming. That's when you jump. Of course, I'm running Night Stalker, so I've got the Shade Step, I've got my slides, I've got all my different jukes, and it works. Because when you get a Titan who's so focused on getting you, they're going to use every last hammer they have trying to nail you. And if they don't do it, okay, well, now you're in a 1v1 situation, and I feel pretty good about that. But you've also made sure that they didn't get any kills from it. They just wasted their super. I mean, as much as if you had hit them with a headshot with a spear and taken them out, you really have to not see it as like, oh, just run and hide until they're done. You're doing a service for your team by tricking them into wasting it, trying to get you and not giving them that satisfaction.
It like really hit the nail on the head. Like map control and knowing the entire map.
Yep.
You can take little lines that Titan doesn't even know about, like run through a tight alley, or it's much harder to hit you down like from a really far distance if there's like a low ceiling. So jump into a little alley, jump into like something with a lot of like clutter, and it'll make it harder for them to adapt and get you with it. And you also got to assume that like a lot of these people don't know the maps. They are just jumping in for the daily. They want those marks, and if you're good with the maps, you can own.
Yeah, I feel like I'm really just starting to really know every nook and cranny of these new PvP maps. Like, it takes a long time to know every angle and to know where you're safe and to know where you're not safe. I'm just starting to get my head wrapped around it, that I feel like I can juke my way out of all these situations.
There is one thing that comes to mind, though, and I actually thought about it last week. We mentioned the concept of contracts in a shooter, and we sort of highlighted that with the shotguns, and that is if you put a shotgun in someone's belly, they die. And another contract that John mentioned was if you hit someone in the head with a sniper, they die. And it turns out that doesn't happen on the Sunbreaker. And I remember the first time I successfully landed a headshot with my 1,000-yard stare on Frontier, and suddenly that thing was still coming at me, and it kind of shook me the wrong way, as like, yes, the super is a trump move, and every super is, and there's 9 of them, and those are supposed to get you kills. But you got to use them correctly, and you got to have some skill with them. They're not just press a button and missiles fall from the sky / Call of Duty. But I felt like, as a good sniper, I had bested someone who had confidently run into my side of the map in my territory, and I shot them in the head with a sniper. And that's the most satisfying thing. Montages are full of them, sniping Golden Gun, sniping self-res Sunsingers, sniping anyone who is revived in Trials of Osiris. And suddenly that was the one thing that, no matter my skill, no matter my ability to get a headshot on them, it didn't work. And that just really felt kind of disheartening to me. And that's where I can't just logically wrap my head around why that makes sense. And that's been tough for me to admit and to deal with, that like I don't understand why that is, and I don't know if I feel like it's fair.
So I will say, slight correction, there are 2 snipers that can take down a Sunbreaker.
Yeah.
One of them's the spear, that clunky 3-rounder that everyone liked because you could reforge it. It does have enough impact to take down a Sunbreaker. And there's actually, I guess there's two other snipers that can do it. You need a high impact sniper with what's it called? People used to hate it. Oh, Final Round.
Mm-hmm.
You still have, granted, you're not gonna, hear the Sunbreaker coming and dump 3 rounds and line up that last one. But hey, look, I'm holding on to an LDR. The gunsmith has got luck in the chamber snipers. Maybe a little unsure to rely on. If you have to kill the Sunbreaker mid super, you do have some options, but it is very, very hard not to die in the process.
I also just can't in good conscience, as a Crucible Radio host, tell anyone to go into the Crucible using Black Spindle. So I don't know if it's worth it for that one shot. And maybe that's just it. Maybe there is just one opportunity when my go-to move is not going to save me, and maybe that's just the fact that we have to run away because there's not strong grenades on that dude, but he's got a killer super. And other subclasses have great grenades and not the best super, not the most preferred. So I don't know. It's been something I've been trying to consider and think about whether or not I feel like that's a balance, but it's been tough.
Well, I agree with all of these sentiments because I also have to try and snipe Sunbreakers, and I myself have shook off a rocket while in Hammer of Soul and just killed the guy and just laughed. I'm sure, Bones, you've been in party chat with me a bunch of times where I'm just like, sure, that's not going to work, guy. I understand all this, and I am, I'm right there with you guys. It's tough, and we got to adapt, and we got to keep playing the game we have. We preach that day in and day out on the playbook and here on the podcast. Play the game we have, and I'm going to play the game that we have and enjoy the Hammer of Soul while I have it. I spent the last year with the crappiest supers. And every time I switched to like a Blade Dancer, I would, go on these crazy kill streaks, and it felt great to be overpowered, but it also felt dirty on the inside because I switched to the right subclass. So it may have kind of like how guns have their seasons. It may have its season. Right now it might be that season. I sure as hell am going to enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Swain, because whatever I say or whatever I feel, the mark of a good player is someone who can adapt. And what I need to do is just adapt and adjust. I mean, that's what is the case. Thorn was incredibly strong, and I adapted and embraced the strength even. So, I'm playing with a Sunbreaker, leveling up the subclass. You just got to adapt, and that's tough, but that will make you so much better in the long run. If something happens to the Sunbreakers, but you're good at stopping them now, holy cow. I mean, you're set. So just got to adapt.
I mean, the important thing to remember is, look, if you die, okay, there's lag. We play a game on the internet. It's this amazing futuristic world. I don't even know how.
The space internet.
I shoot you, and it goes across the space internet, and somehow you die. And look, sometimes unfair stuff happens. But you got to remember, guys, if you get shot fair and square, you get hit with a hammer fair and square, you're dead. That's on you. There's always something you could be doing, even if it's just juking your way to get across the map as fast as you can. Then that's what you got to do. Maybe Bungie will change it, maybe they won't, but we're only responsible for ourselves in there. So, Swain, enjoy it, buddy. You earned it. You earned it. Soon as they make it so a golden gun can kill a Sunbreaker Titan, I'm coming for you.
Ooh.
I'm coming for you, but enjoy it while it lasts.
You'll all burn.
All right, calm down.
Drag him away.
We actually have another Titan bro that we want to talk to about this. We're going to cut to our guest here. We're going to discuss these subclasses a little bit more, a little more Destiny Crucible talk. But first we do this thing, and it's going to happen. It's going to be rhythmic. It's going to have melody, and you're going to love it, and you're going to want to dance.
I'm already dancing.
Swain's already dancing.
Yeah.
Musical break! Hey everyone, Bones here. Wanted to say big thank you to everyone who has tuned in so far. The response to last week's episode with John was incredible. We are so stoked to keep bringing more news and information like that in the future. That was just the beginning, so stay tuned. Anyways, if you want to follow us on Twitter, @Crucible Radio, subscribe to us on iTunes, even check us out on Podcast Addict if you don't like iTunes. We're on Stitcher now too, that's pretty awesome. If you want to leave us a review on those things, that would be so cool too. You don't have to. Anyways, let's get back to the show.
Joining us on the show tonight is one of my favorite Destiny YouTubers. You probably haven't heard of him, but you really need to check him out. Consummate Titan and just fun guy to watch play and listen to talk. Leon Young, Daddy Fat Snaps. Thank you for joining us tonight.
No, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. I mean, I've been following you guys forever, so this is
awesome.
It's quite the honor to actually be able to appear on the show.
For sure. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's nice to have a fellow Titan on the show finally.
I know. I mean, we are really not really represented. We got to change that.
Well, now people are just mad at us.
Yeah, I know. With that skate, I mean, see, now that skating has really kind of come into the community's focal point, I think now we're starting to get a little bit of the love we deserve. But that Sunbreaker Super is has definitely been making headlines as well.
We're not salty. I'm not salty.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Totally fine. Well, we're gonna get to that, but tell us a little bit just about how you got into gaming and how you got into Destiny.
My story is not really the typical YouTube story or gamer story. To be honest with you, the first FPS I ever played was Titanfall. That was the first. I'd never picked up a multiplayer game up until that point. So literally I missed, and I'm 28 years old. I missed all the original Halos. I missed, I didn't even play GoldenEye on N64.
We are very similar.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was really a learning curve for me when I did pick up Titanfall. And it was the first one that really, really caught my interest, so to speak. So, I did what anybody, wanting to be good at something does. I went to YouTube. I went to Reddit. I watched videos, because I didn't want to just play to play. I wanted to be good at it. Obviously everybody knows that frustrating feeling when you're getting murked in multiplayer shooters. I mean, it gets to you, that tilt. So, I watched videos, and eventually, my skills started, developing a little bit, and it got to the point where, I wanted to kind of share what I had learned to, help other people like me. That that are just getting started out, that don't really necessarily understand the mindset or why we do things. I think that's one of the things that gets kind of overlooked is why. Anybody can post videos of them going 30-0, but if you're not helping people understand how you're able to do that, then that's what my YouTube channel is kind of geared towards and what it's about. So Destiny was just the kind of next progression. After Titanfall, to be honest with you, I didn't play anything after Titanfall until Destiny, because all my clan mates were kind of going that way, and I fell in love instantly. Just the lore, obviously in the very beginning there wasn't, there was a lot of stuff that you had to really go searching for, but just the world, the gameplay, the gunplay was super. It was really tight, and you can tell it was just had a leg up on the other competition that. The other games that we had. So I just fell in love with it instantly. And, it's such a great little community that we have going, maybe not so little anymore. But I just fell in love with it, and it kind of grew from there. So I completely dedicated my channel to, Destiny and, how to really excel at PvP.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I mean, you just sort of decided that if you're going to do something with the game, you want to teach. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Because, I know for me how frustrating it was when I first started out. When I first started out playing, I remember those first couple Titanfall games, and even Destiny. Destiny was a huge learning curve. I got to be honest with you. When I first picked up PvP in Destiny, I hated it. From at the very beginning. If I'm being completely honest, I was terrible. I couldn't land headshots consistently because the time to kill was a little bit higher than some other games. So. It just really threw me off. And again, I went back to YouTube. I went back to Reddit, started watching people on Twitch, and, started picking things up again, just how I did before. So I know a lot of people you see on the forums, they say, oh, well, if you're just good, you're just naturally good, you're just this, you're that. And, I'm a personal, representation of that's not necessarily true. There's certain things that you can learn. Obviously, the reaction time and stuff like that are, from person to person. But there's certain skills that people can learn because I myself, I went through the same process myself. So I know that it can be done. You know what I mean? I didn't start out picking up a controller and just, getting 29 KD games. It took me a while to get to that point.
That's awesome.
So one thing I've always liked about your videos is that you do something that I have a lot of trouble doing. Like, I'm a guy who is I get very set in my ways. Like, I eat the exact same sandwich for lunch day in, day out. Same thing with Destiny, right? Like, I find a shotgun I like, I find a sniper I like, I find a primary I like, I find a subclass I like, and I'll just rock it forever. I mean, then I'll find something new. And it was like, I remember when I first moved from Hunter to Warlock, and it was like, okay, I'm just going to play Warlock from here on out. Mm-hmm. And I've always enjoyed your videos because you seem willing to change it up and be like, all right, I'm good at this now. What's the next thing? I mean, sort of, what's your philosophy when it comes to mastering the whole game?
To be honest with you, I think that's, if you go back to the videos that I have on my page, primarily it's funny. It's like a trend with all the videos that I have. I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I've pretty much got this down. Let me move on. So, originally, like, I started off as a Warlock, and I was a Warlock forever, throughout the game.
Hard to imagine you as anything other than a Titan.
I know.
Okay, if you say so.
But yeah, if you go back to the beginning, my first videos, it's all Warlock. It's a Sunsinger. I just rock Sunsinger day in and day out. And then I got to the point where, I wanted to try something different. So I tried Hunter. And the benefit that I kind of found from, switching things, and then obviously the Titan, but the benefit that I found from switching it up and mixing it up is what I feel like a lot of people are missing, because they don't understand the limitations from other classes. They don't understand, that there's certain things that, they just see Golden Gun. They say, oh, this is cheap. This is that. They don't understand. It's actually kind of hard to be successful consistently as a blade dancer. You know what I mean? You don't understand its weaknesses until you actually get in that role, and then you kind of learn how to combat it. So I think that was my biggest thing our biggest reason for kind of picking new things up, is I was like, I want to understand, have a broader grasp of the game, so I know how to combat it. I know how to, go against it when somebody's using it against me, or if it's something that, say somebody's a really skilled sniper, or instead of just throwing throwing noodles at the wall over and over again and not having a stick, actually like just picking up a sniper myself and saying, all right, let's go. I think that's my biggest thing, just being able to be versatile. And that's why, again, you'll see videos from every class on my page.
That's interesting. So I actually want to ask your opinion about something then, because recently in our discussion with John Wisniewski and some quotes that Luke Smith has been saying, it's kind of clear that Bungie has a feeling that if weapons have seasons, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Hand cannons are powerful, now pulse rifles are, and obviously we don't want that to be for a year long, but are you okay with that? Do you feel like that's a good way to keep the game fresh? I mean, it's sort of the same way as switching up your own loadout. You want to learn a bit of everything. How do you feel about them, sort of letting one gun rise to the top every once in a while?
I mean, I think it's an interesting strategy. Again, I think recently in Crucible, I've been playing, a ton, because I'm working on, especially with the news about the new update, working on some more chaperone videos. But I think it's one of those things where it'll last for a little bit, and then the community will get set in the new meta, and then they'll want something different.
Right.
That seems to be the case. With hand cannons, people got, every day you would see something on the forums about Thorn or Last Word. It was like 50% of posts that you see. Yeah. I think to be honest with you, it's going to be more so towards Red Death, or like Bad Juju. I know I've actually picked up the Hawksaw from the vendor. But I've noticed I'm seeing high fire rate pulse rifles everywhere I go now. So I think people are already starting to get set in the way. So we'll see how it develops. Personally, I like hand cannons. So I'm a little sad.
That's okay.
But again, I'm sure, Bungie, they know what they're doing, so they're gonna come around and, end up balancing. I'd like to personally see, it be they find a final form that they want to stick with instead of kind of bouncing back and forth. But
Right.
again, it does. I mean, to their benefit, it does keep things kind of fresh.
That's a good point.
I want to hear you talk about some Titan. So explain to our listeners, like, what makes a good Titan setup? What is something that consistently across all three subclasses, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for mobility over all Titans. So whether it's the Defender, whether it's the Sunbreaker, whether it's the Striker. Now, I mean, personally, the Striker is my favorite class, and it's for one reason. It's for that shoulder charge mobility. Because, skating as a Titan is amazing. Getting able to move around the map as fast as you possibly can. It's great for flanks. It's great for just setting up. It's great for, closing distance, especially with the nerf to blink, where, they really can't have their gun ready until they hit the ground. I've really noticed it, it really coming into fruition now. But I think that's the biggest thing for me is just...
So let me ask, because some of our audience might not be familiar with the term Titan skating.
Okay.
Give us the 10-second version. What are the basics?
Yeah, basically, it's mashing the jump button with increased control. When you have increased, that's the only jump that you can properly do it with. So hitting it as fast as you can. And to be honest with you, it's the best setup for it, unless you can run a modified controller or a modified grip, is going to be bumper jumper. That's the only way that you can really control your speed, landing, positioning, all that good stuff. So it's just mashing that as quickly as you possibly can to gain speed. It cuts the jets on and off quick enough that it gives you additional speed.
If you've never tried it before, you'd be amazed at how fast you can move. Like I play Hunter. I'm used to being able to dart my way around the map. But I think, if you put them side to side, you want to race, I think Titan's got the edge with the skate. I mean, it is it's tough. Well, so you were talking about the shoulder charge. How does that play into it?
To be honest with you, man, Titan skating, it really goes hand in hand with shoulder charge, and that's how everybody originally saw it in the first place. Seeing Gabriel flying across the map is
Sure.
The way that he did. I mean, that's how I learned, and eventually, before all the videos and tutorials, I kind of just figured out myself watching him. Kind of how to pull off and mimic the same feats. But, that's how we learned originally. And there's a reason for that. To be honest with you, I mean, I really feel like the first, glimpse we got of shoulder charging skating Titans was, where it's going to lie, where it's the best. Unfortunately, with the Sunbreaker, it doesn't have the shoulder charge. So what happens is you get stuck going one direction. And with the Striker Titan, I can turn on a dime. I can completely, 180 and come right back at you at the same speed that I was leaving. And I think that's what, helps to really throw my opponents off and keep them, off balance just enough that I'm able to sneak in that shotgun kill or, at least put myself in a position where, I have the power position.
Yeah, I've said it before. I love watching your Titan Striker gameplay videos because you're clearly a disciple of the good Lord Gabe, and just watching how quickly you can get in people's faces with a shotgun and then get out of the way and then circle back and cut them in front of the side. It is just it is a very disorienting thing to go up against. It's very different from your blink shotgun where it's all vertical.
It's definitely disorienting, and that's why I love it so much. Especially with the nerf to blink for the hunters, it makes a huge difference now. They aren't nearly as mobile as they used to be, or they aren't able to draw their weapon as quickly as they used to. So they have to really pick and choose their battles. So by the time I'm moving super fast, by the time I'm already on top of you, they have to do a number of things. First of all, they got to find me. If I'm flying back, we all know the frame of view is really close in this game. So they got to find me. They have to get me in their reticule. And then they have to, be able to land accurate headshots on me to be able to put me down quick enough while I'm charging at them that fast. So it's very disorienting, just like you said. And I think that's what makes the Titans in general so good. Now it's obviously a much more advanced kind of tactic, but if you can master it, it's really hard to beat.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because you can take advantage of those little things that make following someone a bit harder. You got that radar it's not a perfect radar. It just sort of tells you a general direction. You know they're in front of you. That doesn't help you. And then you got, people playing with low sensitivity trying to snipe at like 2 or 3 sensitivity, and there's just no way that they're gonna sweep left and track you at all. So that's you can really take advantage of what everyone else is working with to make what you're working with that much better.
So I mean, you talked about it, like you use a shotgun, you use the Matador. How do you feel about the shot package being taken out of the game?
Oh, I'm super excited to be honest with you about shot package being removed from the game. I think it's only going to benefit the people that really know how to close ground and get right in your face. Because a lot of times I think the Fellwinter's Lie or the other shotguns that we had with perfectly rolled shot package hammer forward shotguns. It lets you get away with a lot more. You know what I mean? It lets you, maybe, eke out that kill that, you maybe wouldn't have gotten if you were using a different shotgun. I think people like, guns like the Chaperone, I think I just recently did a nice little video on the Chaperone showing how powerful it could be in just in a rap interview, essentially. But, guns like that where, it rewards skill and, being able to land headshots. I think those are going to be, the best shotguns on the map now, because, Chaperone has crazy range, but it makes you work for it. You're not just going to be able to body shot somebody, slide body shot and walk away. You're going to have to, use some skill to kind of get in there, close ground, and then not only that, but be accurate at a very close distance.
Do you think it's going to move up to something you can dominate with, or do you still feel like it's kind of a novelty gun like the No Land Beyond, or do you feel like this is going to give you an advantage?
And it's definitely going to be something that you can dominate with. I think the more I kind of wrap my mind around it, I know people were saying it's like the No Land Beyond of shotguns, and I don't buy that. I think it rewards skill. Again, It's not the easiest thing to use because in close ranges, you got a split second, so it's more of a quick shot kind of shotgun. Like a quick snipe shotgun, essentially. I think I've had some really, really good games with this so far. And, my KD really hasn't fallen while I made the switch from my beautifully rolled Matador 64. So I think the higher skill you get, it's going to be like the No Land Beyond. You'll see people that can just absolutely destroy with that gun because its mechanics allow it to, it's a one-shot kill primary. So if you can hit that shot, it's going to reward you for it. And the same thing I feel like with the Chaperone, I think it's just going to reward skill. So I'm excited to use it. To be honest with you, I think it's going to be in my trials and banner loadout.
We talked about shotguns. So there's one other gun I've seen you using that we're all big fans of on the show, and that's Mida Multi-Tool. Tell me a little bit about how great the Mida is, because we know it. I just like to hear about it. Isn't it the best? Isn't it just wonderful?
Yeah.
I'm so mad they're not making Mida a year 2. I'm hoping I'm going to see that, in some patch notes somewhere. But the only reason I've even stepped away from the Mida, to be honest with you, is just to kind of get used to the year 2 guns with Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris right around the corner. I want to, at least familiarize myself with the new weapons. And, every now and again when I'm trying to go try hard with my buddies, I'll put it on, or if I'm playing a particularly sweaty team, I'll bust it back out for old time's sake. But I really think, especially in year 2, and it's a shame, but it's my favorite gun going into year 2, and the reason is simple, man. It's just accurate. I think with the changes made to the gun types and the guns in the game, a lot of guns just don't feel as hit scan as they used to, I guess is the way I want to put it. I've never had that problem, in gunfights. I feel like the bullet goes exactly where I want to put it, and I'm really. It's killing me that it's not making the jump to year 2. But, again, there's some really other good stuff out there. Not quite on that level, but, I really like the Hung Jury. It's more of a long range kind of a situation. And my buddy Han Bolo, he said he's really about that Suros. I think it's PDX 2045 or something like that. He really likes that too. So I think I'm going to give it a shot, some of the new Scout rifles, and see how it goes.
Are there any other year 2 primaries that you've really fallen in love with?
Oh, for sure. The Hawksaw. That's my gun. I've already done a couple of videos on that. I mean, I absolutely love the Hawksaw. I mean, it has a little bit of a left recoil, but if you get that down, I mean, the sight is wide open. It has the perk where if you miss a shot, it gives you one extra bullet. So I think it actually comes in a lot handy, especially in frantic firefights. It comes in pretty handy. The one that I have, I know people say, that high caliber rounds doesn't really do anything, but I got to be honest with you, when I pull it off, I feel a difference, and it may be placebo. I don't know, but I feel like people can. I feel like it's easier for people to get shots on me, and then when I put it back on, again, it could be a placebo effect, but I really feel like it makes a difference with their stagger or something, because I'm not getting hit nearly as much when I put on high caliber rounds. So, but yeah, and especially on a fast firing pulse rifle like that, I mean, it makes a huge difference. So I think that's going to be my trials gun going in, and then more than likely, I think if it gets really sweaty, I'll probably put on the Red Death. That seems to be the best gun in the game right now.
Well, you said you love the Striker Titan, but everyone wants to talk about Sunbreakers. It's the new hotness right now. So
literally very hot.
Seriously. But I personally think there's one setup. Is there one setup that you use when you use Sunbreaker? Give us some tips to maining a Sunbreaker.
Yeah, I mean the Sunbreaker. I mean, of course, I'm using increased control. That's a given. I use the fusion grenades. The what's the name grenades? The incendiary grenades. They're really good. But the choices between the Titan Sunbreaker. I mean, the grenades. They're okay. Nothing's really bad, except I don't really like the thermite grenade. I like the Night Stalker's grenade. It makes more sense that it goes horizontally. So if somebody's outside of a door trying to crouch shotgun you, you can normally at least push them out of that spot. I like that grenade, but yeah, the vertical line, I don't know, it doesn't really do it for me. It feels like more of a PvE kind of grenade. So yeah, there's that. I use the perk that allows you to get, you throw more hammers, and cause bigger explosions, because that's a given. I think it's Titan Codec 2 and 6, because really when I'm building a Titan, I want armor and speed, and I typically have enough time to recover between gunfights. If you're putting people down, it gives you a second to kind of breathe. So I don't really worry too much about recovery. A big one that I have to say, Carterize. That's the big one. It saves you so much, especially you already get a lot of armor with the Sunbreaker Super. I know that's why people are all super upset that you get essentially another overshield when you go super. But you get into a lot of the situations where if you start getting team shot, that health drops super quick. So Carterize comes in really handy. It keeps you, keeps you in the game still, even if you do get a couple of shots, or, if you run into another super or something like that. It just, it keeps you alive and keeps you in the game. So those are the big ones for me. The melee, I'm not going to really be meleeing people with my T-Rex arms, really, any of those choices is good. I've been going with the one that recharges your super if you get recharges your melee immediately if you get a hit, and gives you back health. I've been going with that one, but I rarely really use it, to be honest with you. So that's pretty much my build right there. I think the big focus is increased control, fusion grenades, Carterize, and more hammers. That's what I use.
I just want to throw out there, because I was thinking about it earlier today. If you're not running Cauterize, and on Hunter, on Blade Dancer, if you're not running Hungering Blade, you're not doing it right, especially trying to go up against people in those subclasses. When they're in super and they can just go for it because they know as soon as they get a kill with it, they're gonna be back to full health, to full shield. Nothing else even comes close. But let me ask you this. This is the big question. Internet is very, very excited about this right now. Sunbreaker Super is so strong, and the Sunbreaker is the best class in the game, and it's way OP, and it's totally broken, and it's just not fair. True or false?
Again, I think people they're looking at one aspect of the Titan game, and that's the Super. obviously, I mean, it's in the name. Super. It's super. It's
Yeah,
supposed
it's a
to
trump
be devastating. It's supposed to be the last bullet that you have in the chamber. You know what I mean? It's that luck in the chamber that you have to kind of get you out of a situation. But I think people forget. There's a whole other match that you don't have your super. So if you get your, let's say 20 seconds, you get the Hammer of Soul. 20 seconds, and you get it 3 times in a match. So that's a minute of the game. You got 11 other minutes in the game. What are you doing during that time? And I think my biggest thought on it is, really, does the Sunbreaker have other perks that really make it stand out? You know what I mean? And I can't really say that with confidence. So I think that's where the balance kind of comes from. I think that the super is awesome. It's, quite possibly the best super in the game, up there with the Gunslinger super. But at the same time, it's what other abilities does it have for the rest of the game to really net you kills? And maybe you guys can help me out. I can't really think of something that really stands out to me.
I think Bungie did what they do, and they got excited about something, and they were just like, this is awesome. Let's make this thing just scorched earth policy. This thing is going to melt everyone's face for 20 seconds. Why not? That's really satisfying, especially compared to Fist of Havoc and the Bubble. So I think they loved it. Like, why wouldn't you? That thing is amazing. So I kind of agree with you that it's just like, that thing is nuts, but only for 60 seconds a match. And maybe 100 or 80 if you got this crazy intellect build or something like that. But that thing is beautiful and crazy, but it's not constant. And if it were more frequent, that might be an issue. But I don't know.
And as an example, I actually started building my Night Stalker build up recently, and I look at that class. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you get a radar that's like broken into 12ths. So I can see exactly what direction somebody's coming from. You get, you can track people through walls.
Oh, yeah.
You can do the shade step.
It's awesome.
All that stuff.
It's like that Swiss Army knife.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So, but then you think about it, the super, if we're comparing both the classes, the super for that class isn't necessarily overwhelming. It's good, but it requires skill. It requires you to, think about your shot placement and, you put yourself in a good spot, but it isn't necessarily dominating. But that's where the balance is. It's the balance between what you're doing when you don't have your super and your super. And I think if that class had both of them, if that, essentially was a golden gun, with the Night Stalker had, then I can see how that would be a little bit unbalanced. But it's balanced because, the super doesn't necessarily throw off what the other extracurricular activities of the Night Stalker is.
I love that.
Same thing with the Sunbreaker.
I'm never going to call it the neutral game again.
Yeah, I love that.
Extracurriculars from now on.
Great terminology.
You're going to get me into college with those.
Okay, so we got some big PvP events coming up. Finally, we've waited a while Trials was turned off and Iron Banner is coming back, and these are going to have tons of people participating, and maybe for the first time, and everyone's going to try to get that new gear, and you can't bring any year 1 weapons. Well, maybe you can't. Maybe you can just still suffer through it with that Matador if you really want. But what's your approach now with the changes to Trials, the changes to Iron Banner, and are you going to jump in right away? Are you planning to play a lot of that?
Oh yeah, right away. October 13th, I think it's actually in one of the thumbnails in my video. It's October 13th, October 16th. I'm going to jump ahead. And I think that's why, unfortunately, I had to put down the Mida a little bit so I can get used to the year 2 weapons. But now I'm jumping right in. I got my loadout, what I think I'm going to be using. Again, that Hawksaw I talked about before, that thing it's just a jack of all trades. Again, the fire rate allows me to do decent in close range engagements. I can kind of hip fire people. I've done that a lot. Mid range is where it owns, and I can get a couple pot shots at long range. I'm really liking the Chaperone again. I don't think it's going to be a novelty weapon in the right hands. I think I think with the removal of shot package, the value of the Chaperone went up. I think it's a much better gun. Now, the only thing that you got to think about is whether or not you want to give up an exotic slot for that. You know what I mean? I think that's going to be the dilemma that you have. But again, I mean, with the balancing that the game has now, I think it's viable to use legendary weapons when before you couldn't do that. For the heavy, I got a nice Ruin Wake. I think I'm going to go with. Again, machine guns have kind of made their way back into the to the fold. So until I get a nice little rocket with grenades and horseshoes, I think I'm going to hold off. I got something in the from the gunsmith though. I'm hoping he gives me some grenades and horseshoes. That package. Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm praying.
Yeah. Oh, I think we all saw that Suros rocket launcher show up and went, "Ooh, okay. I hope it's here in time. I'll wait if I have to." But yeah, that's the one thing I've not landed a rocket launcher in year 2 that I like yet. Got the sword, got the machine gun. Well, we're talking about Trials, and I think maybe we've all been playing some Rift, we've been playing some Mayhem, and doing our quest lines, and have gotten used to sort of the regular Crucible. And we got to get back into like super competitive elimination mode. Everything's on the line again for Trials. Hit us with some Trials knowledge. I mean, what are you thinking when you go into a Trials match? I mean, are there any sort of strategic?
Strategery.
Going sentence. Yeah. What are you thinking strategy-wise?
Any kind of extracurriculars?
Yeah. What sort of strategic extracurriculars are you going to be taking into Trials with you?
For me, Trials, first things first, you got to have a team that you can communicate with. I mean, before you talk about anything else, a team that you're comfortable with, a team that you can talk to. Because, I see a lot of, solid players, not crazy, amazing players, doing really, really well in that atmosphere. And it's because their communication is on point. And they're able to, essentially be in each other's minds, So, your team shotting, being able to do all that. So I think that's the first key. Find some people that you're comfortable with. Next, something that I always do, and I know, people think they're slick and they change their weapons to like blues or, something just awful until the game actually starts. But, I always like to know what the other team is using, and I like to recognize that, initially. So, obviously there's a lot more snipers you see in Trials of Osiris. So just knowing the kind of weapon, if you don't have the knowledge like with aim assist and what kind of weapons they have, or the fire rate, noticing the small things again, like fire rate of the sniper, things that you can do, ways that you can flank, looking at the map, thinking about the lanes that they use based on the weapons that they have. And that's some of the stuff that I go into with the videos that I have, just kind of talk about the why. So I think that's what I do just starting up the match. And again, it's just being willing to adapt. I know you had mentioned it in the beginning of the podcast that once you find something that you love, you just kind of stick with it. I think Trials has made it so that again, you got to realize when something's not working, and you got to learn when to adapt as a team and as an individual. Basically against the weapons that you have. So I think that's one of the biggest things for me personally, just being able to adapt, being able to kind of move around, and being open to new changes and new weapons throughout the middle of the game.
Well said.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we are in year 2, and there's all these new weapons, there's these new classes, and we're all digging into it, but we don't really, as of late, we haven't looked forward. But I would like to ask you, you played Titanfall, like you said, that's your first, venture into this type of game. Mm-hmm. Is Destiny, sinking its claws into you? Are you sticking with it? Are you excited for the future of this game?
Oh, absolutely. I haven't even thought about... I got to be honest with you, man. I have 5-6 games on the back burner that I haven't even touched. I keep buying these games, and they just sit and collect dust. It's silly. I finally stopped buying them. But I think I'm invested in this. I think it's I got the channel going, and I love doing that. I love helping people. Kind of learn about the game in the way that I did, and kind of sharing my experiences. With what I've learned, and if I can help even a couple people, get better at this game, or just kind of learn things at a different angle, or even some of the veterans that maybe they see something in a way that they haven't seen before. That's why I do it. So I think Destiny has me for a while, and considering how many different changes I've had do. Since, I mean, think about how many different strategies you've had to go through since this one game has come out. Like, I've changed my playstyle like 6-7 times.
It's exciting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, regardless if it was just using a different class or the weapon balancing. I mean, this was, I mean, essentially, Taken King was a complete overhaul in, you know, how we looked at the guns in Destiny. So I think it's just, I mean, as long as it keeps keeping me on my toes like this, and there's something to teach, you know, I'll be a Destiny channel for as long as they'll have me.
That's awesome.
Right on.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Normally I ask if people want to check you out, but I'm telling you guys, you've got to check out his videos. He's Bill Nye. He's Alton Brown. He's just laying the knowledge out, and the gameplay is fun to watch. Where can people find you on the internet?
Daddy Fat Snaps. It's actually Xbox Daddy Fat Snaps, one word. And the just, you know, the fat is PH. Don't ask. I was like 13 when I got the name. So
Roll with it.
sticking with it. I thought I was cool.
Didn't we all?
Yeah. But yeah, it just stuck. I have a Twitter now. Thanks to Birds. He said that I should you know, get involved with that as well. So it's just Daddy Fat Snaps, one word. And then yeah, I mean, those are the two ways that you can really find me. If you want to, I mean, I have a clan. It's called You're Gonna Learn Today. You know, again, my clanmates are super excited. Yeah, I know. And the tagline is, "We ain't got no nipples." So
I imagine there's a story behind that, but yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Sure, why not?
Yeah. You know, but I mean, we're super supportive groups. So if you guys want to come and play with us, or, you know, if you guys got raids, I mean, we're mostly PvP. But, you know, I got a lot of good guys, you know, in my group.
Without nipples,
if you don't mind, I've got a second. Han Bolo, he's the one who's kind of pushed me to, you know, do all this stuff in the Twitter and the YouTube. You know, Believe, I mean, Lead Juice, Salty Banana, you know, these are my guys that have really been, you know, kind of supporting me through this process. N7 Micro, I was just playing with him before I got on this podcast. So, you know, it's a really good atmosphere. And if you guys just want to chill and play, I'm always open to play with you guys. You need to, especially with trials and banners coming up, I'll be able to help run you through some things if you need it.
For sure. Listeners, seriously, go watch this YouTube channel and watch how the shoulder charge can just break people's ankles. It's not even the kill move that does it. This thing, if you use it well, it's nuts. And Leon, you got a real mastery of the extracurriculars. I can't even say it. It's a tough word. I'm done.
Thanks for stopping by, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks, man.
No, I appreciate you guys having me. It was an honor, man. Thank you.
Hey, son, don't play down by the edge of the pond.
Daddy, come here!
Son, what is it? What happened?
Look, Dad, look! Why are they so crispy?
Quite the barbecue. Officer Young, what happened here?
Detective Bones, Detective Birds, I'm glad you guys made it. We got 7 down Guardians, sunspots, 3rd-degree burns, and no trace of the killer.
7 down. Sounds like we've got a phantom on our hands.
Extra spooky and engulfed in flames. We talking Sunsinger? Golden Gun, maybe?
Neither. Security camera from across the street picked up a few glimpses before overheating.
A Titan?
Damn it.
You know what that is?
Yeah, that's a sunbreaker.
Let's move out. Oh, and Leon, you're fired.
Wait, what? Did I just lose my job so you could make a fire pun?
You know who I'm thinking it is, don't you?
Swain? He couldn't. Yeah, he's a diehard striker. I just don't think he's capable.
You'd be surprised at how easily people will turn to the dark side.
I don't buy it, but regardless, we need more evidence. What are we doing at the docks?
There's a guy right here moving boxes. He's bound to have seen something. They always do. Hey, buddy, pretty hot out here today, huh?
Yeah, especially with all these sunbreakers running around. Hold up, you've seen a sunbreaker around here? Yeah, giant hammer, covered in fire, skating around, explosions left and right. A lot of people are hurt, kill streaks all over the place. Pretty ugly stuff. I'm sorry, you witnessed a kill streak and didn't think to call the authorities?
Hey, buddy, this is the docks. I got detectives coming up to ask me if I seen anything all the time. And always when I'm moving boxes. Figured you guys would be coming around sooner or later.
He's got a point.
Fine. Did you get a look at him? Maybe saw his face, heard him say something? Yeah, he kept yelling, welcome to the Crucible. Now I'm the one with the space magic. Pretty stupid line if you ask me. Straight out of some shitty rap song.
I think it sounds pretty dope, but thanks for your time.
I still can't believe it's Swain. We need to let the smoke settle.
Okay, stop it.
What? I'm a detective. There are 3 things I'm obligated to do. Wear a trench coat, stop to buy street food always, and make a lot of puns.
I get it, but I'm feeling a little burned out, so just cool it, okay?
Ooh, nice one.
That was unintentional. Anyways, I figured the seedy-looking dive bar is sure to have a bartender who knows a ton of information about his regulars. Look for the guy drying a glass in his hands or wiping down the bar with a rag. Like that guy.
Excuse me, sir, do you,
Yeah, I've seen some bad people. That's what you're about to ask, right? Yes, but someone specifically. Bulky armor, covered in fire, wielding a hammer. Look, I got a lot of rough folk coming in and out of here. You want information? Oh, come on.
Just bribe the man.
Fine. Here's the glimmer. Now, where's our sunbreaker? Take a look down at the end of the bar.
The guy with the tentacles all over his face?
What? No, farther down. Swain!
Oh, hey guys, what's up?
Swain, I can't believe you, man.
I don't have any clue what you're talking about.
You know exactly what we're talking about.
Look, I'll tell you everything you need to know. But first, I need to get to the ice rink.
The ice rink?
He's skating away!
Boy, this chase is really heating up. We're hot on his trail now. He really burned us just now.
Seriously, that's enough. To be continued.